Hello and welcome to MPL Live. I'm the Assistant Director of the library here. My name's Anthony Connolly, and today I'm with the author Gavin Thomas. Gavin has written a great new book. He's a young adult author, local author, and we're just trying to make sure we can see ourselves. Because I can. Oh, there we are. There we are. All right. We can see ourselves. So, Gavin, do you mind if I read your introduction?
That's fine.
Who you are? So this is Gavin Thomas. He's the author. He was born in Salisbury, Maryland, and was raised in Ocean View, Delaware. Growing up, he has autism, and sometimes, because people didn't understand him, they would tease him. Despite kids teasing him, he attempted to see the good in them. And as a result of being kind to others, other students in the class, karma had blessed him with friends who had his back whenever someone would bully him. Best kind of friends to have. At a young age, he enjoyed creative writing and had worked on some short stories with action, comedy, and romance. So today we're going to be looking at his new book. It's called Tomboy and Tomgirl. Gavin, welcome, and tell us a bit of what's this book about?
So, this book combines superhero action, comedy, romance, and spirituality. For the superhero part, I wanted to give the characters very realistic personalities, in which Ayla, the female lead of the story, is kind of the toughie with a soft heart and very tomboyish. Jonathan, the male lead, is very emotional and nurturing, but he's also intelligent and energetic. And of course, he has the level of girliness about him, which is why he's called Tom Girl in the story.
Well, that's interesting. So they almost change their gender is one thing, but they sort of have qualities of the other gender inside them. Well, that's interesting. And how did you come up with this idea?
Well, I generally liked on TV when I would see really kick-butt female characters, but I also really liked the concept of a more feminine male character, but I didn't like how on TV they were always portrayed as being gay. So sometimes, I know in real life, if one can be masculine and be gay, can't someone be feminine and also be straight, if they're a guy?
Right. That's interesting. Very interesting. So what was your process for writing? How long did it take you? How do you write? Take us through the process of writing your book.
Well, I kind of just, whenever I've got ideas, I write them down. If for some reason I can't put them directly into the book, I do kind of write them down somewhere else, be that on my phone's notes or on a separate sheet of paper. And then I come back later and put it into the story in a way that makes sense.
Do you work on a computer?
Yes.
When you gather your notes, you work on a computer, and you're able to input it. Then how long did it take you to do the book?
It took me about a year.
Wow. So did you work every day, or was it just when you accumulated enough notes that you could sit down and
kind of just, I did do it a lot some days, a little others, and then and still others I did take a few break days, if you will.
Yeah. So if I'm out there and I want to write something like a YA book, what tips would you want to provide anybody? Because you've gone through it now. So
and what I would say is write about topics that you're personally interested in, but keep it original. Yes, there's superheroes in my books, but they're my own characters. I didn't rip off Superman or anything, or Wonder Woman for that matter.
Right.
And I know for me, I like not only superhero stories, particularly female ones at that, but I also like comedy stories, romance, and then I like spiritual stories also, in which I did incorporate some spirituality into the story.
Okay. What kind? It was interesting because in creative writing, we always say to people who want to be writers is write what you know, and it's also not only write what you know, but write what you're passionate about. So these are
Yeah.
things that you knew about, but also you had a passion inside you to talk about these ways that genders can be different and remain spiritual and interesting at the same time.
Yeah, and so essentially, like, everyone as a person has a masculine side and a feminine side to them, in which, and more often than not, society expects men to be, like, very much in touch with their masculine side and women very much in touch with their feminine side. For the story, a major concept was that the male lead was supposed to be very much in touch with his feminine side, and the female very much in touch with her masculine side. Hence the concept of tomboy and tomgirl.
Oh, that's interesting. And I know you may not know this, but a famous psychologist, Carl Jung, talks about this very thing that we have. Each individual has both a male and female component inside them. So you're sort of reflecting psychology that's been established for decades. So that's interesting. So where can people pick up this book? I know it's going to be available. It's going to be available at our library. It's still going through the catalog system, but where can people pick up the book?
So I currently have it available on Amazon, and then I also have it at Bethany Beach Books and the Laurel Library.
Okay, well, that's very good. And now this is part of a series, right?
Yes, and there are 2 other books in the series. And the other 2 are currently available on Amazon, but I don't have the other 2 available elsewhere yet.
Okay. And are they written or are you writing them?
And they're already written.
Okay. Wow. That's amazing. So are you going to continue to write all your life, or is it something you're very passionate about, interested in?
Yeah, I'd say I do plan to write for a good while. I have quite a few other ideas outside of just tomboy and tomgirl.
Okay, good. All right, so you've got you can look into the camera and tell a young writer out there some inspiration. What would you tell them?
Well, I'd say I was inspired very much by my friends around me as well as my family, especially my mom, in which I know my mom has been supportive of every dream I've had since I was a kid, and I genuinely appreciate it.
Oh, that's good. That's a good note to end on. I thank you very much for coming in and letting me grill you like this, and we really appreciate your work, and we wish you all the best in the future, and we'll have you back at the library here when you have some other stuff published in the future. So for now, that's Gavin Thomas, author of Tomboy and Tomgirl, Earth's Unconventional Superheroes, and I'm your Millsboro Public Library Assistant Director, Anthony Conley, and that's MPL Live checking out. Take care.